is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm gonna show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, tender, juicy, amazing Mississippi beef cheeks. That's right, folks. We took the concept of Mississippi pot roast, but did it to some beautiful smoky beef cheeks, and then made this wonderful sandwich topped with pepper jack cheese and some crispy fried onions. Coming up. These are some beef cheeks. Pat them dry. And what I got here is some absolutely beautiful trimmed up beef cheeks. Got these from my friends over at Porter Road. And no, I'm not about to launch into a big speech about Porter Road. This is not sponsored by them, but I do genuinely love their stuff. The ad read comes on Thursday. But like I mentioned, I love getting their beef cheeks because they are pre-trimmed. And if you've ever seen any of my other beef cheek videos, you'll know the trimming process is pretty in-depth and you get about a 50% yield. So you have a lot of trim on hand, which you can make into barbacoa, but this is just a real easy way to get the money muscle here. That being said, I'm going to tidy these up a little bit just because that's really thin. You got this piece of sinew on the side. Just kind of squaring it up, but definitely not nearly the amount of trimming I would have to do if I got cheeks from the grocery store. But if you're in the UK, beef cheeks always are like this and huge. No need to worry about any of this stuff on the back. That will break down in the braise. And I'm definitely not going to cook all of these, question mark. Don't think we need that many. I'll just choose my favorite ones. Pretty intuitive trim here. You know, if you see a piece of skin on top, you can take that off. Anything that's too thin and might burn up, that's a shame. Look at that. Happens all the time with beef cheeks because it is a pretty gnarly cut. Just like that, all trimmed up, looking absolutely beautiful. Gotta love all that intermuscular fat and collagen running through there. But these are looking pretty much perfect. So now all we need to do is get these seasoned up. As for our rub today, I'm going on with some good old-fashioned Chuds BBQ SPG, nice pepper-heavy rub. Should get a good bark on this stuff. We're gonna go on nice and heavy. Just as much as will stick is what we're gonna use today. Now, Leroy and Lewis, we just toss these in a big bucket full of salt and pepper to get as much black pepper and salt on there as possible. And somehow it always comes out perfectly seasoned, so nothing to it. And don't forget the sides, rookie move, you know the drill. Toss these around a little bit. And that is looking pretty much perfect to me. Let's fire up the pit. Oh, there's a snake in my cheeks. And on the pit we go. Beef cheeks are pretty forgiving, so no real rhyme or reason, but if there is a thicker end, I'll aim that toward the firebox. Got a nice post oak fire in there. Gonna do a pretty typical barbecue cook today, probably around 250, 275. And really, we're just trying to get some color on these, build up that bark. Not really too worried about an internal temp, but just gonna maintain some temps, get some smoke on there, and we'll check back in on these in a little bit. Next up, gonna bust out some real quick tallow buns. Starting by going in with some water, our yeast, our sugar, quick little mix, followed by our bread flour, our salt, milk powder, dough conditioner, and get that mixed up into a nice little ball. And once that's come into a nice little dough ball, in we go with our South Chicago Packing Wagyu beef tallow. Boop. And now we mix this for about 6 minutes. Beautiful. Not too sticky, peeling away from the sides of the bowl nice and clean, so out this comes. Beautiful dough, very simple. Not too much enrichment, no egg or anything like that. Very nice and light. Get a little flour in there, make it a little easier. But beautiful smooth dough, smells like beef tallow. So now into a greased bowl we go. Cover this in plastic and let it rise for the next hour to hour and 1/2. Now that our dough has doubled in size, out it comes. Boop. Oh, she's sticky. It's really humid out here today. But now we're going to portion this out into some 90-gram dough balls. Grab a ball, tuck all the seams to the underside, give the old table roll, and onto a Silpat lined baking sheet we go. And now cover these with plastic wrap one more time and let them rise for about 30-45 minutes. And now that these beef tallow buns are looking, in fact, nice and plump, you can hit them with an egg wash real quick with this nice big spatula. Got this from my friends at Thermalworks. They make some pretty good gear now. Culinary gear, that is. And today we're gonna bake these off on the pellet grill. I'm gonna try something a little bit different. This thing is in fact fired up to 350 degrees. I'm gonna take my griddle plate here and I'm gonna pop that on cold because last time the underside of these buns got a little bit toasted. So hopefully this will create a bit more of a barrier. We're gonna put them pretty much right in the middle and bake them for about 15-20 minutes probably. Been about 15 minutes, gonna give these a rotate for even browning. So far looking pretty good though. And just like that, these are looking pretty good. Again, took a little bit longer than it normally takes in my oven, but color is there, pretty happy about that. So now I'm gonna hit these with some butter right on top while they're nice and toasty, because why not? Beautiful. Now I'm gonna pull these off, let these rest on a wire rack and cool down. Beef cheeks are looking good, nice and smoky back there. I'm letting the pit kind of die down because we need to make ourselves a braising liquid. Next up into this pan, we're gonna go in with 2 sticks of butter. And once all the water's cooked out and it's looking nice and frothy, and we go with our onion. And let this cook down for a couple of minutes. And once those are cooked down, looking nice and translucent, starting to take on a little bit of color, we'll go in with our garlic. You could chop this up, but I like to leave it whole when I do braises. That way you get those little bites that are super tasty, because these are gonna be nice and soft and cooked down. And once that starts smelling absolutely fantastic, we're gonna go in with some flour, create a bit of a roux to help thicken this braise a little bit. And we're just gonna cook the raw edge off of that flour for a minute or so. This smells ridiculous. And now we're gonna go in with our beef stock. Because what doesn't sound good about beef cheeks cooked down in butter and beef stock? Come on. And I get a lot of comments asking how I make my smoky beef stock, so luckily I filmed it yesterday. So what I got here is some of the cheapest cuts I could find at the grocery store. All these are beef neck bones. And then I got some shank meat over here. These are great because they're full of that bone marrow, which is gonna add some nice velvety richness to our stock. And right now I'm just searing these off a little bit. Don't have to do this. Usually I'll just throw it on the offset or even on the pellet grill, just get some smoke flavor on there. But figured a little charcoal sear wouldn't hurt anything. And I threw a piece of post oak in there just to get some extra smoke flavor on these. And I think all this meat was about $10, so pretty good deal. And after just a couple minutes, starting to get some good color on these. Definitely don't want to burn them or anything like that, but set these off to the side. Just a little extra flavor on there, especially from these shanks. The bone marrow is dripping out, giving us some good fat smoke. Got the wood in there and charcoal flavor. Yeah, this is gonna be a better stock than something you get out of a carton. All browned off. Now I'm gonna shut this down and cook it for probably about 20 minutes or so, just to get some of that post oak flavor and some good smoke on these. And make beef stock, you can obviously go all beef, which is what I usually do, unless I have some old veg in the fridge, and I actually do. So I'm gonna grill off this little red onion. Also found a couple of carrots, starting to grow legs, so I had to peel them. And some celery. Get those softened up a little bit. Beautiful. So to cook this down, you could obviously just use a pot, but I've got this electric stock pot, which I got for Christmas. Thank you, Brooke. And this thing is awesome because you can leave it outside and it runs for a solid 10 hours. And the reason that's nice is because it can be a bit of a stinky process. And also, if you have gas burners inside, running those on super low heat for like 10, 12 hours, not the best idea. Veg going in, and then we'll go in with our grilled smoky bones as well. Boop. And then fill this thing up with water. I start with hot water, just to speed up the process a little bit. Now we're just gonna let this simmer away for the next 6 to 12 hours. And after cooking away all night long, this stuff is looking nice and dark, smelling really good. I mean, look at that, come on, folks. I killed the heat like an hour ago just to cool it down a little bit, because now we need to strain it all out. So I'm going into this little strainer into a container here. And we're just gonna fish out all the meat and bones and veg. These bones have given us all they got. And now we strain it all through. And at this stage, what I would normally do is pop this in the fridge to chill overnight, and all the fat from all that marrow and stuff will float to the top, so you can take that off and have a nice clean beef stock. But because I'm using some of this today, we're just gonna have to leave all that delicious fat in there. Oh no. But as you can see, we've got a nice, thick, rich, delicious, smoky beef stock. When this solidifies, it'll be like Jello because of all the gelatin that came from the collagen in that meat. And this is way better than anything you're gonna get at the store. As for the rest of this stuff, I'm gonna send it through a nice fine mesh strainer because there's a lot of particulates still in there. Don't need all that. And also, this container has a lid and this one doesn't. So this one's going in the fridge overnight. Now this is back up to a simmer. We're gonna go in with a shot of some Worcestershire sauce, some ranch powder, which I actually bought this time, 3 packets of that, and of course, you gotta have the pepperoncinis. A couple of these guys going in, and these are really good in a braise. Go with some of that liquid as well. Add some much needed acidity to the party. And get that all mixed up. And now all this goes into our little vessel here. Give that a nice little mix up. Looks like we had a little clumpage with our ranch powder. And then over here at the smoker, beef cheeks are looking perfect. Very nice and barky, looking like tiny briskets. Rocking an internal temp of about 180, which took about 4 hours. So now into the braise we go. And I did not invent this ridiculous recipe, by the way. This is a pretty common thing. Usually it's done in a crock pot with a chuck roast. And I did a video about that a little while ago where I did a more traditional version, and it was surprisingly good. So when I was thinking about what else you could do with Mississippi pot roast, beef cheeks just make sense. And normally with barbecue beef cheeks, you get them to this stage and then submerge them in beef fat and confit them for several hours until they are nice and tender. But for a lot of people, having that much beef fat on hand isn't very practical. So when thinking about a braising liquid for beef cheeks, this just makes sense because you can buy some beef stock and some butter and some pepperoncinis pretty quick. So at this point, lid goes on. I did add another quart of beef stock to make sure these were submerged. I'm gonna pop this into my toaster oven at 250 degrees for the next few hours to make sure these are nice and tender. And of course, you could do this in a crock pot overnight. You could put this on your grill, whatever you got. But toaster ovens are nice and easy because this fits perfectly. And we can easily take the lid off and probe these until they're nice and tender. So it's been about 4 hours on that braise so far. I put it in at 250, and after an hour and a half, I checked it. And it still wasn't very hot, probably because I added that extra beef stock without bringing it up to a boil first. So I cranked the temps up to 350, and that's where it's been ever since. And they're starting to probe nice and tender, but we still got a little ways to go. And I was just going through the comments of my last Mississippi pot roast video, and someone said I should put some crispy onions on top of that sandwich. And I just so happen to have everything I need to do that. So it'll be real quick, I promise. Thinly sliced onion that we're gonna soak in some buttermilk for just a couple of minutes here. And after soaking in the buttermilk for a little bit, just long enough to get the deep fryer up and running, drain off the extra and into some flour we go. This is just some all-purpose flour, and I put a pinch of salt in there as well. Just gonna get these all nice and tossed, make sure there's nothing clumping together, and then into a sieve here just to shake off any extra flour. Beautiful. Got this oil at 350 degrees. Shouldn't take long. And just like that, out these come looking nice and crispy and absolutely beautiful. Onto some paper towels to drain. And we're gonna season them up with some Chuds BBQ secret salt. On sale now. Beautiful. Look at those, come on. And just like that, after like 4.5 hours, these things are probing tender and smelling so good. And I did go through and flip these over a couple times because they are floating in here. Oh God, that's so tender, it's about to fall apart. But looking good, holding together, feeling strong, feeling nice and floppy and jiggly. So out these come, I'm gonna rest them down a little bit because they're nice and toasty in there. But this braise smells so good. You pick up on the acidity from the pepperoncinis. It's obviously nice and beefy. And now we just got some buttery, spicy beef cheeks coming out to cool down a little bit, which hopefully doesn't take too long. But as you can see, probing like butter, 204 internal. Just gonna let them cool down. And while I'm here, I'm gonna fish out some of these peppers because they're gonna go on the sandwich too. Can't forget that garlic either. Taking a look at these buns, they look pretty good, but if you look at the underside, this one was on the steel and this one was hanging off the steel. So the theory worked. I just need a bigger piece of steel. I'm gonna get this toasted off real quick. Beautiful. All right, y'all, moment of truth. Let's slice into these beef cheeks and see what we're working with. Cuts really nice. Holding together, but still perfectly tender. Beautiful smoke ring on that. Just look at how soft that is. Feels like a beef cheek, but Jesus, that's a hell of a smoke ring, isn't it? Get another couple slices. This worked out perfectly. This is slicing exactly like a traditional beef cheek, but it smells completely different. That's some good looking barbecue right there, folks. If you've never had a beef cheek before, you are missing out. Oh, so juicy, so smoky, so barky. And the bark held up through the braise too, which is a good thing to know. But of course, it's just boop, impossibly tender. Oh, that looks so good. But as far as the sandwich is concerned, we're gonna keep it really simple today. We're gonna go on the bottom bun with some of our super soft confit braised garlic here. I was thinking about putting barbecue sauce on it, but I don't think so. Look at this. That's a perfect spread right there. Oh, that's gonna be so good. And originally I was just gonna plop a beef cheek on this, but because it's sliced up so nicely, I think I'm gonna just do a nice shingle. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, we can sneak one more right in the middle there. Yeah. On top of that, a slice of pepper jack cheese. And then we'll take some of our braised down pepperoncinis, pop the tops off, and that will go right on top. Oh, this is gonna be good. It's a very different barbecue sandwich, but it's got pickles, it's got meat, it's got cheese, it's got bread, and there it is, folks. Come on, the Mississippi beef cheek sandwich. I got you guys so good. You think I'm gonna forget these beautiful crispy onions? Come on, Pile them high. Be careful if you make these yourself though, because these are extremely addicting. And I've had way too many and I don't feel good already. There we go. Now it's a sandwich. This one's just looking so good, folks. Haven't made beef cheeks in a long time and these ones are looking so good in that sandwich. I mean, come on, what is not to like about this spread, guys? All right, let's dive in. This is another one of those, may sound crazy on paper, but when you're staring it down, I mean, oops, I'm pretty pumped. Whoa. Oh, that is so good. So tender. It eats like a beef cheek. Like the inner membrane in there is nice and sticky, incredibly tender. In form factor, it's just like a regular beef cheek, but it's infused with so much more flavor, right? It's got some acidity to it. It's got a nice little bit of MSG from that ranch powder. It's very smoky, and it definitely came through even after the braise, although it was braised in smoked stock, so that makes sense, but it's like a beef cheek, but with more depth of flavor. That's so good. So good. Wow, that is surprisingly good. Boop. Just melts in your mouth. That's crazy. Pretty easy too, you know. I started filming at noon today and it's 8:45 and we're eating, so. And most of that was passive time anyway. And if you don't make your own buns, I mean, geez, come on. But this is the real reason we're here. Whoa, dude. It looks like a pastrami sandwich. That is so ridiculous. That's better in sandwich form, you know. Such a rich cut, having some bread and the crunch from the onion and a little extra acidity from the pepperoncinis on there. Really just complements everything so well. And a freshly baked bun never hurt anything. And the cheese. That's a ridiculous sandwich right there. So much flavor. These need to go on more barbecue sandwiches. So, good. Interesting thing I've just noticed is that usually around this time of night when I'm pulling things off the pit, the flies are rampant. Check out my burger video, they're everywhere, but right now, not a fly in sight. They must not like pepperoncinis or something, but very convenient for me. I was on the fence whether or not this could use some barbecue sauce, but that last bite got a big burst from a pepperoncini and it just added some more juice to the party, and that is just the best bite of the whole week right there. Just gonna keep on going. It's so good the bell fell off the wall. Well, I guess that answers the age-old question, folks. Do you need to confit a beef cheek in order to make it nice and tender, sliceable, and delicious? And the answer is no. A braise works just fine. Granted, my braise is full of butter and collagen and gelatin-rich smoky beef stock, so recreate this at your own risk, I suppose. But this sandwich is just killer. I would order this anywhere I went if I saw it. It's ridiculous. Brooke, would you like to try my Mississippi beef cheek sandwich?
Yeah.
Take a big old honker bite.
I'm nervous because of my tooth.
She's got a toothache, but luckily I literally made the softest meat known to man.
Gotta go slow.
Quite the mound of beef cheeks we got over here, too.
Oh, this is good. I love the crunchy onions, but obviously right now I don't love them.
Yeah. Yeah, the crunchy onions on a really soft sandwich like this works incredibly well. Does it give you like holiday vibes for any particular reason? Something about the flavor profile. I can see eating this in like December.
I could see that. I mean, I'd eat this anytime. I think the crunch gives it a nice like difference in texture. Oh, there's pepperoncinis. Okay.
I was calling them pepperoncinis in my last Mississippi pot roast video, and everyone yelled at me saying it's just pepperoncinis. So this time I've been calling them pepperoncinis, and I bet the same people are going to yell at me again.
I say both ways. Who cares?
Welcome to the internet. The pop of acidity and that just kiss of heat is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, what's cheese?
It's pepper jack cheese. Also adds a little bit of kick.
Yep. In no way would I say this is spicy, but
no.
Maybe that person that thinks like a salt and pepper bark is spicy would think this is...
If black pepper is too spicy, then this would be too spicy because it's covered in black pepper.
Yeah. Okay, I did get a little more heat from the pepperoncini.
It's good. It almost reminds you of pastrami.
Yeah.
With all the different flavors in there.
I'm gonna finish this. Is that okay?
Yep. I can make plenty more. I just don't know how much more I can eat.
All I've been able to eat is like soups and smoothies, so I need protein.
Yeah, that's why I made beef cheeks, you know? I don't think there's a more tender cut of meat out there.
Yeah, this is amazing. It melts in your mouth.
And because Brooke just ate the rest of that sandwich, and I can't be bothered to make another one, with this slice of Mississippi beef cheek, I think it's time for the official taste test. Oh. Yeah. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely fantastic, smoky Mississippi pot roast beef cheeks. I highly recommend giving this one a try. It's a pretty fun and easy cook to do, especially if you don't have to trim your cheeks, and especially if you don't make your own bread and make your own beef stock. But it's a very familiar dish, but with a completely different flavor profile that I highly recommend giving a try very soon. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace!